The hammered dulcimer is a very visual instrument, and one of the shapes that people tend to talk about when they're talking about chords is a shed shape. And a shed shape is a root position chord, meaning that the name of the chord, for example, a D major chord, the root position means that the lowest sounding note is the root of the chord. In this case, a D, D major. Now, a shed shape is a third on the right. A third is an interval, so you're skipping one note, a third on the right, and a fourth on the left. So when you have a shed shape, it sort of looks almost like a lean-to, the pattern of a lean-to against a house, but lean-to shape doesn't roll off the tongue nearly as nicely as shed shape. So again, we have a third on the right and a fourth on the left, and you notice if I slide my hands together, my thumbs can touch, as opposed to my index fingers cannot touch. Same thing from bass to treble. If I slide my fingers together, even with the differential between treble and bass, the thumbs can still touch. So another thing I would like you to notice when you're in the shed shape is, for example, this major chord on a mark. 3 out of the 4 notes that I have my fingers are on marked courses. The top and the bottom note are the same, D and D in this case. And then we have the A across the bridge. So 3 out of 4 are on marked courses. So if I just move this shape up, 3 out of 4 are now above a marked course. Again, thumbs touch. Move it up again, 3 out of 4 are below a marked course. On a marked course, above a marked course, below a marked course. This is going to be very important when you use your hammers, but for now we're just grabbing with our fingers. Now, if I go back to the bottom of my instrument, or close to the bottom, if I pinch this chord, this is on a marked course. It is a major chord if it starts on a marked course in the shed shape. And you notice when I pinch, I'm pinching toward, my fingers are going toward each other, as opposed to pinching up, which takes my hands really far away from my instrument. So if I pinch towards, then I stay in this position above the strings and I can easily move it up. We want to avoid doing what I call inchworming, which means moving 1 or 2 fingers at a time, like an inchworm would move. So we move everything at a time, 1 string up or 1 string down, and we keep them in this shape. So a moment ago, I mentioned that a major chord would be a shed shape starting on a marked course. The interesting thing is this is a pattern. So we have, for example, A major, D major, G major, C major. On the bass bridge, we have F major, C major, G major, D major. So you can get used to kind of bopping those up and down. We have those 3 Ds here in that beautiful diagonal line. So D major, G major, C major. Minor chords are off the mark for a shed shape. So a shed shape off of a mark, meaning in between the marks, are going to be minor. Same thing from bass to treble. So again, a third on the right and a fourth on the left is a shed shape. Now, what we're going to do when we pick up our hammers is we are going to keep our hammers split like they were when we had hands on opposite sides of the bridges. So when we play it, instead of going lowest to highest, we're actually going to play them out of order. And this is a very efficient way to play broken chords. All a broken chord is notes played one at a time in quick succession, as opposed to block chords. That's block, this is broken. So you notice what I'm doing is I'm taking that shed shape and I'm playing right hand, left hand, right hand, left hand. The first three are light and quick, and the last one, which is generally your melody note when you're playing a tune and adding this kind of a chord, the last one's the melody note. It has a nice larger upstroke. And you notice they're all very relaxed. Remember that playful kind of scolding, sort of Lucy, you got some splaining to do kind of emotion. It's very playful and light. So the first thing to do actually is to take your hands and can you just move up and down the bridges, playing shed shapes, same thing from bass to treble. And what I'm looking for is I'm looking 3 out of 4 are marked. Then when I move it up, 3 out of 4 are just above the mark. And visually I'm looking at this because I'm generalizing my gaze and I'm using these marked courses and the proximity of these notes in relation to those marked courses to quickly and accurately get to the notes I'm desiring. So 3 out of 4 are just below a mark, and again you can see those thumbs touch. 3 out of 4 are on the mark, above, below, on the mark, above, below, and on the mark. So can you just begin by plucking this, and again, generalizing your gaze so you're not fixating on one hand or the other. When you're ready to pick up your hammers, you keep your hammers split across the bridges. So the right hand plays its lowest note, the left hand plays its lowest note, right hand plays its next note, left hand plays the final note. And we want this rhythm of like triplet 1, as opposed to 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. So we're avoiding that. We want this. You can also come backwards, starting with the left hand. That one is often, but it is good practice to go both directions. From bass to treble, same thing. You notice I'm also playing, just like I did on the treble bridge, I'm not playing right up on the bridge because that is never a good sound. It may be tempting to look at your hammers on that string in close proximity, but it gives you a woody sound. And you're not taking advantage of the beauty of your instrument because your strings cannot vibrate freely if you're playing up close to the bridges. So get off those bridges and use your generalized gaze to keep track of where you are. See, I'm a good 1.5 to 2 inches off the bridges. If we look at marked courses, those are all of our major chords when we're playing shed shapes. 3rd on the right, 4th on the left. So you can start by naming those marked courses. For example, D major, D major. So I was looking at those diagonal Ds, D, 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 and using those visually to keep track of where I'm going. G major, C major, F major, A major. Those are all of our major sheds on the dulcimer. Now, in between those major chords, those marked courses, are the minor chords. So when you play a shed off of a mark, meaning in between the marks, you get a minor chord. So again, 3rd on the right, 4th on the left. Again, right, left, left. So that's B minor, C sharp minor. So just get used to first playing sheds on marks and off of marks. For example, one above, one below. And you remember by that I mean 3 out of 4 are below a marked course when I'm doing that one. And I'm telling myself that internally because it helps me track where I am on my dulcimer, and I can be very much more accurate. One above a marked course, one below a marked course. Okay, so then the next step is to go up your instrument. I'll start on the bass bridge, saying the quality and the root, the note, the name of the chord. So for example, D major, E minor, and the root is my very first note. Remember, this is a root position chord. The shed shape is a root position chord. F sharp minor. Be careful in your speech here. Do not call this F minor, because F minor is a different chord completely. This is F sharp minor, G major, A minor, B minor, C major, D minor, E minor, F major. Same thing on the treble bridge. We start with G sharp minor. Again, be very careful in your speech. A major, it's on a mark. Above a mark, B minor. We have the exact same chord right here below a mark. C sharp minor, D major, E minor, F sharp minor. Again, be very specific in your speech. Now, if you are looking for a chord, for example, you need to know the notes in an A major chord, and you need to know them quickly. You can look for a marked A and then build a shed off of that. So here's a marked A, C sharp, E, bottom and the top are the same. Let's say I need to find an F sharp minor chord. It's a minor chord and it will be found off of a marked course. So I find an F sharp and I build a shed. F sharp, A, C sharp, F sharp. Bottom and the top are the same. I need a D minor chord. I find an unmarked D, so not a marked one. That gives me a major. An unmarked D. So here's an unmarked D above my marked C. D, F, A, bottom and the top are the same. So that's a quick and easy way to find many chords. Some chords, for example, a B flat major chord, you simply don't have enough notes, so you would have to go up in thirds. B flat, D, F, I have a higher B flat. Or for example, E major. So B flat major, you notice I still found a marked B flat. That's my B flat there, that's marked. E major, I found a marked E. If I use an unmarked E, I get E minor. But if I use a marked E and go up in thirds, I get that major chord I was looking for. So this is a great exercise to work on facility in hammering and generalizing your gaze, also to build control. And to be naming those chords and their qualities and the notes in those chords. G, B, D, G. E, G, B, E. C sharp, E, G sharp, C sharp. Again, being very specific in our speech, so we are being accurate in our descriptions. Shed shape exercise.